Hello, all. Welcome back to Letters Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. It's Sunday. Usually, I don't do too many videos on a Sunday, but hey, it's gonna be a busy week for me, so I might as well knock it out now. So, today's discussion I'll be getting into is talking about the gift and the curse of owning real estate. Hey, everything, there's positives and negatives, anything and everything in life. Having a family, not having a family, being single, not being single, living in America, not living in America. There's positives and negatives no matter what you do and where you live at and how you live in every different situation. So I'm just going to go over with my personal opinions and some statistical opinions in regards, or statistical facts in regards to the gift and the curse of owning real estate. Because real estate is one of those precious commodities that helps people not obtain some sort of wealth and some sort of ownership, and a lot of times it just helps people obtain passive income, such as myself, so that they don't have to work a job and they can pursue other goals and aspirations that they have in their life. And I think that's awesome. A lot of people don't, because a lot of times we're not trained to be owners. We're not trained to go after things from an ownership perspective. We're just trained to go after things because that's what the school systems, whether public or private, have taught people how to become great employees, but are not really focused on teaching people how to be great business owners, entrepreneurs, and things of that nature, and talking about how money works and how money's supposed to work for you. You're not just supposed to work for it, how it's supposed to circle around your family and your friends and your community, and how everybody is supposed to benefit from it, and how it's really supposed to be your employee. But we're just taught to be good workers, buy, consume, barely make it, and get up to our ears in debt buying crap that we don't really need, and that's not really going to benefit us, our friends, and our families. So that's just my little side note when it comes to money. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it to the day I die. So, but back to the lesson at hand, as they say. Now, the gift and the curse of owning real estate, it really depends on how one looks at it and how you look at your lifestyle. Generation Xers, baby boomers, I got a lot of love for you, a lot of respect for you. I've learned a lot from multiple generations, and that's why this thing you always hear about when it comes to Generation Xers and baby boomers and millennials all going toward, against each other's. I think that's just normal for people to see things in a different perspective. But the main thing at the end of the day that really boils down to is the respect level that you have for one another. And as long as there's mutual common respect, then differences shouldn't really matter, But a lot of people don't really look at things like that because they just have it. It's my way or no way mentality. And I just think that's idiotic. But hey, to each his own, right? It's a free country, So, but at the end of the day, a lot of Generation Xers and baby boomers, looked at buying a house as a must. I think that's cool. And they look down on people, in a sense, not all, but some, for people who rented places for 10 to 15, 30, or sometimes their whole lives, because that whole thing was you had to buy a home, you had to buy this nice house in this nice specific neighborhood, picket fence, dog, family, blickety blah, 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 as I say, because, that's not my generation. My generation is the millennial generation, which I'm proud to say. A lot of people aren't, but I'm proud to say I'm a millennial. I think I'm an old-fashioned millennial because I think about things from a Generation X and baby boomer perspective when it comes to the financial aspect of things and financial planning and things of that nature. But I'm definitely a millennial when it comes to not having a lot of stuff and valuing adventures more than anything else. It's like I don't have to have a nice car. I'll take a nice vacation to get away from uptight country, aka the DMV area, in order for me to really enjoy my life. Or I can just think about living in a place and not having so much stuff or as much space because I value the lifestyle of that specific area, aka California, aka the West Coast, but I could go on and on about that. That's another story for another day, but so what's the gift of owning real estate? Back to the lesson. All right, so because there's a lot of, there's lots of pros and cons when it comes to everything in life, So, but what's the number one gift of owning real estate, in my opinion, is getting a tax write-off, for being a homeowner. Any repairs or new appliances that you may need to purchase or, are considered tax deductible. I think that's awesome. Owning a home builds up lines of credit, especially if you consider to have bad credit or no credit. A lot of times you can build your credit by being a homeowner, especially if you can, it gives you access to lines of credit and equity. You can pull equity out of your home, and getting those equity loans are a great thing. at the same time, and I mean, the people who took, I know a lot of people who took and taken equity out of their homes and they bought more real estate with that money. That's awesome. And they didn't just buy it to say, hey, I got a nice fancier house now. No, they bought more real estate so that they could become landlords and whatnot. And or a lot of times they just ended up, they took the equity out of their home and they ended up buying into a franchise. Great example. A friend of mine bought into wasn't a Chick-fil-A franchise. It was a storage unit franchise, and now they have a turnkey. Her and her husband, they have a turnkey business, and they have their own public storage, and they make a lot of money. And they're at a point now where they don't really even have to work anymore, and they're thinking about saving up enough money so they can purchase another one. And once they purchase that second public storage facility, they're not going to work anymore. They're going to quit their jobs. Well, one's going to quit the job, and the other one's just going to work part-time. So now they have a life that they don't have to really take vacation from, and they're getting more tax write-offs because they're quote unquote considered job creators. So, like they always say, passive income and business earned income is taxed less than earned income. Get on the board, jump on the bus, get with the program, show that you're a man wherever you stand. All right, I'm done with that nonsense. So that's how I look at it. Those are the pros. Now, let's get to the curse. The curse is that it can give, owning real estate, being a homeowner, it gives people more responsibilities. And a lot of times, not just my generation, but other generations at the same time, they don't really want to have responsibilities like that. It's just not a thing that they really want. They like the fact that when something's wrong, they can call the landlord and the landlord comes and fix it. It's a beautiful thing, but when something goes wrong when you own real estate, it's definitely your problem. And because you own the real estate, it is what it is, whether you're living there or whether your tenants are living in your real estate property. It's your responsibility, and that's another reason why a lot of people in my generation do not want to purchase a home, for them to live in, because a lot of us, i.e. the millennial generation, want to enjoy more, they say at the end of the day, they want to enjoy more adventure. So they want to become renters. They'd rather be a renter than be a homeowner because they want to have the luxury of having more experiences. And that's one thing I love about my generation, because I think that's one thing that makes me a millennial. I value experiences over things. I could drive an old car, live in a small house, but if I could go travel to many countries, get to learn other languages, get to learn other cultures, get to meet more people that are outside of the box that I grew up in, I'm all for it. Those are the experiences that I value more over things. And I think that's one thing that I love about my generation. We just value those experiences more than anything else. So I just think that's a great thing. And hey, let's keep pushing on. Hopefully the younger generation, they're looking at that all at the same time, So, but another curse of owning real estate is that you can end up living in a neighborhood that you don't really like. The neighborhood could decline because of the people who are moving there, because of the economy and surrounding the area. Like bad neighborhoods don't just pop up. These things take time for it to happen. Or if you knew it was a bad neighborhood when you moved there, then you complaining after you bought the place is just idiotic. But that's just my personal opinion, But that is a curse at times, or even after a few months, you're not liking the place because you think it's eventually you say, okay, I'm having more kids, so we're growing out of this space. So it's not really working for my family. Everybody always has their issues. We can't really go on vacation because of the dogs, or because we feel that somebody might break into the house. Even though with a lot of technology nowadays, you can prevent these things, and with all these services out here, you can prevent these things. But everybody's different. So it is what it is. A lot of people are living in the area, transit area like the DMV area, to where they can't really depend on anybody to check on the house. So if you want to move to another area, it could be harder to try to sell your property all at the same time or at the price that you really want, because that's just it. Real estate, it's like it's playing Russian roulette. You just never know, and you always have to do your homework when it comes to any aspects of real estate. But the gift that you may be able to obtain with owning real estate is you can become a landlord. You could end up leaving the house and renting it out, and then you could end up renting another place, and that way you don't have to worry about the down payment and all that good stuff. You have somebody else paying your bills, and because you're renting that place out, all maintenance that are done, it's going to be even a bigger tax deductible. If you get a property management company to run the place, which I advise you to do, you have them deal with it, and that's a tax write-off all at the same time. All the money you pay them for utilizing their services, because then it's look like there's a business. And if you really, like I said earlier, if you really wanted to take it even a step further, you could take equity out of that home, buy yourself a new home, or you could end up just buying another house and utilizing that as a rental property. Or you could buy a fix and flip property, just buy it and sell it if you don't like being a landlord. So there's so many options when it comes to real estate. I think it's awesome, and like, I'm involved. That's why I'm talking about this. I have my own real estate investment company, and about to open up another real estate investment company. So it's like, I'm in the game. I'm not just talking about it because I think it's cool. I'm in the game doing it, and I'm really on the landlord aspect, rental property of it, because I like to obtain passive income. My goal is at the end of the day is like, hey, wake up when I feel like it, unless I have an appointment, look at my cell phone and be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna take an extra 10 minutes and I don't need to worry about getting on the highway because I don't have a job anymore. You know, that's just one of those little things and visions of mine that I see so many people living that dream, and that dream is going to become my reality eventually, just like it's become a lot of other people's reality. And I hope it becomes your reality if you do it right, you know. So I want everybody to succeed at the goals and aspirations in life, but that's just a personal thing, you know. But back to the lesson at hand, as they say, that's a lot of the great things. So the curse of a lot of things nowadays is a student loan crisis, and a lot of millennials cannot purchase a property because the student loans are outrageous, and it's not only messed up their credit scores, but it's even the fact that they're paying the debt down, but they can't afford to make mortgage payments, or they can't afford to own a property. So because, you know, obviously owning a property is a huge financial responsibility. If something goes wrong, you have to take care of it, and they can't, you know, if the toilet breaks or something to that, or the not generator, but, you know, the furnace goes out, something to that effect, you know, AC goes out, they can't afford to replace that kind of stuff, so they need to rent, you know. But the rent's much higher than having a mortgage, so it's just, and as a student loan crisis, it's a crazy thing. That's why I'm a big advocate of people getting, unless they have a full scholarship ride or their parents have money like that, I'm a big advocate of people not really going to college. I'm a big advocate of people getting skilled trades and certifications so they can walk into a job market and get a decent salary and then go to school part-time, or at least if you want to go to school that bad, go to a community college, get the associate's degree, get a certification so you can get in the job market and get experience. And then once you start making a decent living, then go back and get your bachelor's degree and master's degree if you really want to. And I really don't even advocate getting the master's degrees unless you're really trying to be a professor, a doctor, lawyer, you know, some scientist or an engineer. It's like, if you're outside of that category, then why put yourself in all that debt if you really don't have to? You know, there's so many good paying jobs in the United States of America that do not require a college degree. You know, and it's setting so many people in my generation, the younger generation, back, and that's my little spill on that. So I will move on. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, can't even afford to put a down payment on a home because, you know, they're paying off the student loan debt. You know, it's one of those crazy things. Now, when it comes to the mortgage versus rent, you know, having a home, aka a mortgage, you will have a fixed monthly mortgage payment, you know, unlike paying rent, where you have a higher chance of your rent going up and, you know, than your mortgage. And the thing is, hey, as a landlord myself, I can say, hey, I have the right, when the lease is up, to let the rent go up, you know, especially if I see the demand in the area is going up, the value of the influx of people, the value of people is going up. So I can have the right to, you know, take the mortgage up, and the rent up. And you see that all the time in a lot of places. So that's why a lot of people are trying to become homeowners, because they see a lot of landlords are doing that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's business. You know, at the end of the day, everything is a business. You live in the United States of America, everything revolves around a business, you know. And that's just what it is. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, when it comes to business, I mean, hey, gas goes up and down, food prices go up and down, clothes prices go up and down. It just depends on the need. You know, when something's in demand, you know, supply and demand, it's that old saying, you know. So you just have to, you know, roll with the punches, unfortunately. So all I have to say about owning or renting a property is it all depends on your lifestyle and what works for you. there's been a huge trend out there for years now, and I think it's pretty cool that a lot of people own a property or own a multitude of properties, but they don't actually live in those properties, because a lot of them, they love either living in the city or living 15 to 20 minutes away from the city, a major city, depending on what part of the country you're in, living away near the city or in the city. So, but they rent. So they're renting where they live, but they own multiple properties. And a lot of times, even in those instances, they make passive income. And then they could just end up doing whatever they want to do, or they work a part-time job, or they still work a regular job. Depends on people's circumstances. But they allow the power of owning real estate to give them more choices in life. And that's the beauty of being an owner of something. It gives you the opportunity to become to have more choices in your life instead of just being an employee. There's nothing wrong with being an employee. I'm an employee, but do I want to be an employee for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. There's these things that's called options, and I want to have as many options as I can. And I think that everybody else would want that for themselves, and especially for their children, because when you're just depending on a paycheck, you do not have options. No matter how high or low or in the middle that paycheck is, it does not give you more options, especially if you don't have financial intelligence to make money work for you. That's the thing. Making more money doesn't necessarily mean buying the nicer house, getting the nicer rims, getting the nicer system, getting the nicer clothes. It means getting the better assets, not liabilities. It's that old rich dad, poor dad saying that I say 1,000 times. Develop more assets, not liabilities. If people in your life are not assets, then they are liabilities. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, if you talk about your children, that's a different story. If you're talking about your loved one, even they can be a liability if you're with the wrong loved one, but that's your friends. They can be liabilities. But you want my friends, who I call my friends, they're assets, and I consider myself an asset in their life. And if I was a liability in their life, I would want to be kicked out. I would kick myself out of their lives, because they don't need that, and I don't need that. And that's how I look at it at the end of the day. It's all about being around the right people and making the right decisions. Some will be good, some will be bad, but hey, if you don't learn from messing up on something, then you really aren't trying anything new. So for the most part, that's it. I have some statistics to read for you from, according to the Bank of the West. Millennials are more likely than other generations, which is a surprise, to have regrets after buying a home. And these things stem from, they realize that they realized that the home was more damaged after they moved in, which even after an inspector, stuff happens. Nothing's 100% of a guarantee in this life, especially when it comes to real estate. It's more costly to maintain the home. Like I was stating earlier, the space doesn't really work well for a growing family sometimes, and that people grow out of homes, like people grow out of clothes. People grow out of a job, a career, a business. We all grow. Like Tupac said, you evolve, you disappear. It is what it is. Or a lot of people say, hey, I should have put down more money so my mortgage would be a lot less. It's just, hey, we all have our regrets. We live and we learn. A lot of times they feel stuck in one place, and that's one thing. My generation is very immobile. We don't like being stuck. We hate the fact of being stuck. We don't mind building community and getting to learn with each other, learn about a lot of things with each other, and develop friendships. But we have the internet for that, so it's like meeting new people. That's what we had Twitter and Facebook and Instagram for. It's like, hey, if I move someplace else, we have that to keep in touch with one another. So that's why we don't mind moving around and having new experiences and developing new lifestyles. Me, West Coast, new lifestyle, new experiences. You're not with it, then you're not really on the train with me. Get off the train with Larry Patterson, because it's not going to work. So anyways, they feel like they're stretched too thin. They say my home wasn't a good financial investment. I don't end up liking the neighborhood after all, because a lot of times you never know what a place is truly like until you live there. It's like even visiting a new state, city, country. You don't really know what it's like until you really live there. You have to go through the experiences. Then last but not least, people said, I didn't realize building an addition to the house would be so expensive. So it goes back to, you have to do your homework. And then only a small percentage of people say I have no regrets. So it's interesting, to say the least. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I just wanted to, I think this is the first time I'm really sharing my real estate business, Patterson Properties. It's basically a wholesaling company, a couple of real estate investments, but for the most part we do wholesaling. And if you are in the DMV area and you have a distressed property, I have a list of investors who would love to purchase your property, and obviously I would get my small wholesale fee. And if you don't know what wholesaling is, it's basically in the sense you're the middle person to finding a buyer, finding a seller, and having them sign both assignment contracts, and you basically get a finder's fee in a sense for linking the two together, because you get distressed buyers want to get rid of their properties, and investors love buying distressed properties because when somebody sees failure, another person sees opportunity. It's like one person's trash is another person's treasure. So that's just another way to look at it, and that's what Patterson Hill Properties does. We link distressed home buyers and investors together in order for everybody to win, make it a win-win situation. It's a mutual agreement / mutual legal understanding. So hit me up with those specific phone numbers and emails. Serious inquiries only. If you're screwing around, then I'll just hang up, because life's too short and there's money to be made out here. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. When it comes to purchasing property in the real estate, look at the place that you're living in now. Even if you own it, look how it can become more of an asset outside of just getting a simple tax write-off. It's time for everybody to be some sort of a boss in their own sort of way. It's nothing wrong being an employee, but don't just be a lower level employee the rest of your life and not have assets. Have the option of saying, I don't need this job, take this job and shove it. That old school song. It's nice to have those options, because life's too short to not. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up, please share, please subscribe. Have a great day, and have a great week. Take care.